Ever wondered how an ancient civilization built such an impressive wonder without modern tools? The Great Pyramid of Giza, constructed around 2560 BC, stood as the tallest structure on Earth for over 3,500 years. It continues to puzzle historians and engineers. Rising 147 meters tall and made of millions of limestone blocks, its creation shows incredible human skill and endurance. Join us as we uncover how ancient Egyptians achieved these monumental feats and explore the secrets behind the lasting impact of the pyramids. The rulers of ancient Egypt were called pharaohs. There is not much that can be said about Pharaoh Khufu other than the fact that he was a second king of the 4th dynasty of the Old Kingdom of Egypt. His reign is a subject of controversy, but some historians believe that he ruled for 23 years, some for 34 years, and some for more than 60 years. The pyramid is situated in the western part of the Nile River, and if you watch photos or videos about it, you'll notice that it is not the only pyramid. You would observe that there were 2 other pyramids constructed at the same location. Out of the 3, the largest is the Pyramid of Giza, or the Pyramid of Khufu. It is smaller than the Pyramid of Khafre, which is the second largest pyramid in Egypt. It is said to have been built by Khufu's son Khafre, who also built the second pyramid. The third and the smallest is the Pyramid of Menkaure. It is believed to have been constructed by the son of Khafre. These are the only monuments that have remained from that period. Besides these, there are the Great Sphinx, several burial tombs, and other small pyramids. It is believed that there are 118 pyramids of different sizes and shapes. Most of them have been affected by the weathering, and only a few are in good condition. Of these 3 pyramids, perhaps the most well-preserved is this one, particularly the Great Pyramid of Giza. What was the purpose of constructing these? The same reason why several ancient monuments were built. They were constructed as a tomb. The pharaohs are entombed inside the pyramids. The ancient Egyptians were people who had faith in existence after death. They thought that death was not the end of life. In the afterlife, the soul of the person goes to the underworld and then is weighed by the gods. The souls of those who lived a life of goodness are immortal in the afterlife. Thus, to ensure that they had a good afterlife, the pharaohs would build tombs for themselves during their reign. A lot of food, treasures, jewelry, furniture, clothes were to be entombed with the pharaoh in the pyramid so that they would be utilized in the afterlife. When they died, their bodies were preserved through mummification and then placed in a wooden or stone coffin. You may ask how we are sure that this is why the pyramids were constructed in the first place. There are 2 main reasons, friends. First, we have found scripts written on several other pyramids as well, books and other texts that inform us about their customs on such sarcophaguses and pyramids. Second, most of the archaeological pyramids found in Egypt and Sudan have been constructed as burial chambers. But specifically speaking, in the Great Pyramid of Giza, no concrete evidence was discovered about this, and therefore people developed their own theories. When the archaeologists ventured into the Great Pyramid, they discovered 3 artifacts and an open coffin. The sarcophagus is thought to be of Khufu, and the riches that must have been around the sarcophagus is thought to have been stolen before the archaeologists got to it. Those who do not subscribe to this have developed other strange theories. There's one theory that has been going around the loop, and that is that the Great Pyramid was an energy plant that could produce electricity. Some people who hold this view argue that the ancient Egyptians were technologically inclined and that they had discovered how to generate electricity. Some of the ancient artwork, which supports this theory, is also shown as evidence for this theory. In some of the ancient Egyptian temples, such artworks have been found that are used to support the arguments that they were constructing a light bulb. Some people claim that the Egyptians had developed it, but then the technology disappeared at some point in time. Conspiracy theories of this nature are developed when there is no concrete evidence in a given issue. But the conspiracy theories are often so bizarre that they do not even make any sense at all. If light bulbs did exist in ancient Egypt, then why have we not discovered any evidence to support this fact? In fact, this artwork is an illustration of an Egyptian mythological story. Another theory that is widely believed is that the pyramid was built to serve as a granary for storing crops. This theory was given by Ben Carson, an American politician in 1998. In his own words, he believes that pyramids were constructed by Joseph, the father of Jesus Christ. My personal theory is that Joseph built the pyramids in order to store grains. Now, all the archaeologists think that they were made by pharaohs, okay? Friends, here you can see the second major reason for coming up with conspiracy theories. religious appeasement by politicians. However, today it is beyond doubt that the Great Pyramid of Giza was constructed as a burial chamber. During that time, people thought that the more magnificent a tomb, the more wealth and food in a tomb, the better the afterlife of the pharaoh. Finally, we come to the most important question. How were these pyramids constructed? In fact, this is the most intriguing part of the pyramids that have been built by the ancient Egyptians. How did the people erect a structure that is 147 meters tall? With these enormous rocks that can weigh between 5 to 80 tons, every stone is chiseled so fine and in equal measure when there were no standard tools for chiseling. How were the stones placed on top of one another when people did not even know about the existence of wheels? All of this within a period of 20 years. Ladies and gentlemen, it is believed that the Great Pyramid of Giza took 20 years to construct. There are several theories regarding this. I won't be talking about bizarre conspiracy theories here. But before we discuss the theories, let's look at the misconception that people have regarding the pyramids. Poor slaves, forced to work here all day and getting brutally abused and whipped by the supervisors. You would have seen this in some film or the other. For a long time, people believed that slaves built the pyramids. A Greek historian from the 5th century BC, Herodotus, was the first to suggest that slaves built the pyramids. But today, we know this is to be false. People who built these pyramids were highly skilled laborers. They weren't starved and abused. Rather, they were given abundant food. They were fed so well that they were stronger and more well-fed than the average Egyptian citizen back then. They dwelled in cities near the construction site. Farmers, for example, provided them with seasonal support. When the farmers were not actively working in their fields, they would assist with building in their spare time. In a manner, the kingdom's residents were united in their desire for the national purpose to succeed. They were extremely faithful to their pharaoh. Its construction employed around 20,000 to 30,000 laborers who worked 10 hours each day. Approximately 5.5 million tons of limestone, 8,000 tons of granite, and 500,000 tons of mortar were utilized. The majority of these resources were collected from local places. They were most likely transported in from southern Egypt, which is around 800 kilometers away from the location. Once we understood this, the next question is, how were the stones stacked on top of each other? How were these heavy stones lifted up without heavy machinery? Normally, a system of pulleys can be used to lift them. But as I told you, wheels as we know it didn't exist in Egypt during the 4th dynasty. They existed for pottery only. They had designed an effective ramp system. In 2015, English and French archaeologists discovered a 4,500-year-old wooden ramp in a quarry. Scholars believe that a ramp must have been created in this manner, a straight slope from the base to the top. To transport the stones up the hill, they built a system of wooden pillars along the sides. They then used the ropes around the pillars to lift up the stones, as seen in the artwork on the screen. This was suggested by physicist Joseph West in 2014. According to this theory, after completing a level of the pyramid, they would have created a new slope, and to ensure that the angle of the slope wasn't steep, they would have built a long slope. By building a long slope, the tilt of the slope could be reduced. Another idea stated that they may have employed levers to stack the stones on top of one another. Check out how it works in this illustration. Essentially, they would need to choose a higher central point, install a long pole on top of it with weight on the other side, and then raise, spin, and position the stone as intended. Scholars think that a comparable institution called a shadoof existed in Egypt for millennia. They irrigated their farms using the same process that drew water from the Nile. These theories seem exciting, but inconsistencies developed during the construction process. We know that the pyramid was finished in 20 years. If 20,000 individuals moved each stone in this manner, a stone would have to be set every 3 minutes for the whole year. It is improbable that they would have worked that quickly. Friends, this is why it remains a mystery to this day. Both hypotheses seem logical, but they do not provide a thorough explanation of what happened. We do know that the layers at the bottom were assembled without mortar. The layers on top were subsequently covered with mortar, increasing the structure's solidity. That is why, after thousands of years and countless earthquakes, the Pyramid of Giza still remains. There is also a mystery surrounding the mortar. While scientists understand the chemistry of the mortar used, they have been unable to replicate it. The second theory is thought to be the constellations, that the stars in the sky were used by the Egyptians to orient their design. The Orion correlation theory was proposed in 1989 by Robert Bauval, an author and an enthusiast of Egyptology. He said that the three pyramids in Giza were oriented in the same way as the three stars in the middle of the Orion. He believed that the alignment was intentional and that the ancient Egyptians knew astronomy, that they would track the stars at night and study them. Historians think that this is a conspiracy theory. The term fringe is used to describe something that is not conventional. Some arguments that are leveled against this theory is that the three pyramids were not designed simultaneously, and neither were they constructed simultaneously. When astronomers tried to apply this theory in 1999, observing the pyramids in relation to the stars in the constellation of Orion, they discovered that the pyramids were not perfectly aligned with it. The thing is that the constellation has shifted a little over the course of thousands of years. At that time, the stars were not positioned as they are today. They were positioned differently. This theory was relevant to discuss because it is an example of how people attempt to see order in randomness. When we do not have facts, when we do not have a clear picture, we make up our theories, and if we can find any connection anywhere, it is the truth. If you take the same thing to the next level, exaggerate it a bit, you'll have bizarre theories. Some people argue that the pyramids were constructed by aliens because they think it was impossible for people to do so. As far as I'm concerned, such theories are against the spirit of scientific approach. This is the shortcut method of somehow arriving at an answer when one cannot be located. It is preferable to state the facts that are known and then proceed to list the things that are unknown, that the next generation of archaeologists, historians, can conduct research on them and find out the whole story or the answer. Thank you very much.